On this Tuesday night, a whiplash of emotions for a young soccer team trapped in a cave in Thailand takes another hard turn. After fearing the worst, the world breathed a sigh of relief when they were found alive. But now it's a race against time and flooding to get them out alive. It's a physical, mental, and logistical problem with no easy solution.
Also tonight, police say a healthcare worker is responsible for the deaths of 8 babies at a British hospital.
And after gunfire echoes across Toronto's long weekend, we look at what might have sparked it, what the city should do about it, and why a so-called crackdown might not be the answer. This is The National.
That young soccer team in Thailand may have been taking part in an initiation-like dare, racing into that cave to write their names on a wall. But it was an adventure that very quickly went very wrong. They were trapped by floodwaters before they could get back out in time. The world was seized by their plight and relieved when they were found 9 days later. But as it turns out, that was the easy part, because getting them out won't be. New pictures of the boys show their current condition, where it's already Wednesday morning in Thailand. Above ground, officials are looking at the few rescue options on the table, all of them with their own set of dangers. And things are dicey. The boys and their coach are safe where they are for now, but there's more heavy rain coming, the very thing that got them trapped in the first place. And as the CBC's David Common explains, the journey back out will either be long, risky, or both.
Under a kilometer of rock, escape seems so daunting. The only current path, swim, largely underwater, for 2 kilometers, navigating through this narrow path, too tight to wear oxygen tanks on your back, then swim 30 meters straight up to fully flooded areas hundreds of meters long, all of it in pitch black conditions. Finally, use climbing gear to get to the surface. And one more thing, the boys don't know how to swim.
That's an incredibly daunting task, even for an experienced diver. I don't know how they're going to pull it off. I really don't.
Commercial diving instructor Aaron Griffin says it would normally take years to get the training needed. It is clear they'd aim to use full face masks with airlines built right in, strapped tight so they don't slip off.
It's not as simple as just putting a mask on someone and hauling them out and hoping for the best.
Rescuers, though, may have little choice. Even though they're pumping the cave system, water levels could still rise, even drowning out the small air pocket the group has been in for the last 10 days. The rainy season doesn't end until October, so staying could mean months more underground.
I would favor looking really hard at getting people out quickly.
For diving medicine researcher Neil Pollack, there are 2 key concerns with waiting.
The risk of waste management alone, even if they have food supplies laid in for a several month stay, it could get quite problematic just to manage water and waste over that period of time for a group of people.
And secondly,
the psychological stress. It is a huge burden for these people, especially a range of kids from 11 to 16.
Even on the ground in Thailand, there is likely debate about what to do now, stay or leave. But from those who regularly rescue Canadians from caves, there is one very big and very good sign already.
At least to find them alive is a great outcome, and there's really hope for more success.
We are coming. It's okay. It's okay. Many people are coming.
And those rescuers have returned, some staying with the boys to keep them engaged, bringing high-energy liquid food. David Common, CBC News, Toronto.
Altogether, more than 1,000 people from a number of different countries have been involved in both the search and the rescue planning. Most are professionals, Marines and Navy SEALs. But the divers who actually found the boys and their coach, they are volunteers.
They are the right men in the right place. And, I was not surprised that they were the people who actually found these young people.
He's talking about Richard Stanton and John Volanthen. Diving experts for sure. They've been involved in search and rescue missions around the world, but they see this as more of a hobby. Stanton's a firefighter by trade, and Volanthen, his longtime diving partner, is a computer engineer, also a marathon runner. But Their diving reputations precede them. Back in 2010, it's believed the French government requested them by name to attempt a rescue of a diver trapped by a silt avalanche. They were given the Royal Humane Society Award at Buckingham Palace for their effort. So what's clear for now is that the team is in good hands, but that cave is cramped. And while the boys have had access to fresh water dripping in, they'd gone without food for more than a week. So their overall strength has been a concern. And going forward, their mental state as well. Now, one person who might have a sense of what they're going through is Kathleen Graham. She's an Alberta-based explorer who was trapped in a partly flooded cave for days. And she says she had to stave off panic ahead of her rescue.
So I came to one of those air spaces. It was like the size of a lemon. So I could get a breath in. I could get one eyeball out. It was like, oh boy. So I turned it around, and so we just went back to camp, and we're hoping that the waters would go down. To kind of go back into survival mode, basics, food, shelter, staying warm. We didn't have much to eat, so you start rationing food. You really try to just focus on the things you can control, and that's just staying in a good mood and trying to sing songs and recite Tolkien and waste time, basically. So you're playing a lot of mind tricks trying to suppress all those emotions, and then you get to the other side, and then there's this huge wave of relief, and you're just like, okay, now I'm actually safe. So it sounds like these boys, they found a fresh water source. They've been sitting in like a totally absent, like sensory deprivation kind of situation. No light. You wouldn't know if it's morning or night. When you sleep, you don't know if you slept for 4 hours or 8 hours. Picturing that they would be singing songs, you know, and wasting time, joking around just the same like we would, and talking about all the food that you're going to eat when you get out of here. If you let your mind go into a really negative place, then you drag the whole group down, and then the group, you know, then other people are worrying about you, and you're making them worry, and so, you know, it kind of just, it's all about staying positive.
Wow. So she says her heart goes out to the boys' soccer team trapped at this hour, and on a personal note, she still plans to continue her cave exploring hobby. Here's what else we're working on tonight on The National. In a CBC News exclusive, a former Canadian soldier takes our cameras to a military base where he says deadly Agent Orange is buried.
Millions of Canadians are sweating through a deadly heat wave this week, and it's not going to break for days. Jayla Bernstein takes us on a ride along as emergency officials check in on the most vulnerable in Montreal.
But first, one weekend, 4 shootings, a bloody Canada Day weekend in Canada's biggest city. A blast of gunshots, a scream of sirens, a growing fear the city is no longer safe. That is the cycle Toronto seems trapped in this summer.
Now it's guns. Guns every week, it seems almost now. Leaves me feel a little shaken.
That was a witness to the city's most recent shooting that sent one man to hospital in the early hours of this morning. Toronto experienced shooting incidents all throughout Canada Day long weekend. 3 men were shot on Saturday, 2 of them died. 4 people were hurt in another shooting incident on Sunday, and now we have learned 2 others were injured overnight Friday when a woman blasted away at a pedestrian with a shotgun over a suspected road rage incident. So far, 2018 is the year Toronto gun violence only seems to go up. 208 shooting incidents across the city since the beginning of the year, at least 30 more than during the same period last year. And from the Victoria Day long weekend to now, at least 68. Again, that's substantially more than last year, most in the greater downtown area, which does contain some of the city's most troubled neighborhoods. So you have gangs from 2 of them, which are now under extreme focus. The Regent Park neighborhood to the east of downtown proper, and Alexandra Park to the west. The multiple shootings on the Canada Day long weekend occurred almost right in the middle of the 2, close to popular spots like the Eaton Centre, the CN Tower, and the Theatre District, where every day the streets are busy with tourists, families, and kids. Now, the spate of shootings day after day after day has Torontonians feeling nervous in their own city. As the CBC's Ron Charles tells us, they are also divided over what to do about this.
After a long weekend of deadly gun violence in the city, Toronto's mayor is promising to get tough. More police surveillance cameras and more officers to combat gun violence.
We have to redouble our efforts to make sure we get these gangsters, round them up, get them off the street.
An approach that doesn't work for Zia Brown.
Oppression brings violence, period.
The community volunteer warns that simply rounding up and jailing gang members is a short-sighted solution.
It seems to me that the point of jail is just to put them in a cage and have them come out of our hair. Majority of the young people that are in prison are either Native Indian or Black, but all the staff, the counselors, the programs officers, the wardens, the management, they're all white.
She questions how well that prison staff can rehabilitate young gang members cleared from Toronto's streets. The organization she founded, called Think Twice, takes a different tack, using reformed gang members to mentor young inmates before and after their release.
Meeting with some of these young people.
That's how Drew Ramsey came to be a Think Twice volunteer. While serving a 4-year prison sentence, the one-time gang member met with Think Twice mentors. When he got out a year and a half ago, he started volunteering himself.
You're taking people that have actually been inside these situations. You're taking people who've been a part of this lifestyle, so that know what they're talking about and that can relate to the young person. Because half of the time when I was growing up, I only wanted to speak to somebody that I could relate to.
For now, though, Toronto's mayor and police chief are discussing plans to redirect police officers away from non-emergency calls to increasing patrols on the streets where the gunshots rang out. Ron Charles, CBC News, Toronto.
Surrey, British Columbia knows something about gang violence, too. That city has struggled for more than a decade with it, including 25 shootings this year, an average of almost one a week. The city announced some new measures today, and as Renee Filipponi tells us, one thing it already knows: there are no easy fixes.
It's all hands on deck when it comes to making Surrey safer. That's the plan from the mayor's task force on gang violence.
Every time I hear of another life senselessly cut short by those horrific acts of violence, my heart sinks.
Prevention is a major pillar of the plan, and Jordan Buna is part of it. He joined a gang at 17 and now works to keep kids out of them.
Criminal gangs have changed their tactics and are recruiting at earlier and earlier ages. We must respond and do the same.
Frustration over gang violence has been growing in recent weeks. In early June, 2 teenage boys were killed in a targeted shooting. Neither were known to police. Outrage over their deaths motivated thousands to protest at City Hall. The rally, called Wake Up Surrey, was a push for action. The measures announced today include more support and intervention for preteens and teenagers, creating an inadmissible patron program to keep gang members out of local businesses and bars, and doubling the Surrey RCMP's gang enforcement unit.
This isn't the first task force to deal with violence in Surrey. Former Mayor Diane Watts launched one 5 years ago when the murder rate spiked. In a recent survey, more than half of respondents here in Surrey felt their city was less safe than any other Metro Vancouver community, and that not enough was being done to deal with it.
I'm happy if they do something, but they're not going to do anything.
Gurpreet Tour has 3 sons. 2 have been involved in crime. He's concerned about the lack of action and help for parents over the years.
Any ambulance or any fire truck or police car, when at the night time, they passing our house or close by to the house with the sirens, we can't sleep. We always thinking they bring us in here, our kid, and maybe they are dead. They will say, oh, that's your dead body.
A sentiment shared by many parents, not just in the Lower Mainland. Renee Filipponi, CBC News, Surrey.
So the RCMP statistics point to the importance of early intervention. Surrey's gang members are on average 23 years old, and the trouble starts young. Most were 13 the first time they were suspended from school, and 16 when they committed their very first crime. And tonight, Rosie, you're following another sort of crime story, a tragic one out of the UK.
Yeah, that's right, Adrian. A hospital worker there has been accused of a monstrous crime, murdering the babies in her care. A house and vehicle were searched today in the city of Chester near Liverpool. The alleged murders happened in a hospital a short distance away. Tonight, some British tabloids are identifying the suspect as a 28-year-old healthcare worker who had been working with babies in the hospital since 2011. Thomas Degla has been following this story from London. Okay, what exactly is she accused of, Thomas?
Well, police have only said they suspect this woman is responsible for the murder of 8 babies and the attempted murder of another 6. They've not said how the babies may have been killed or what led them to this suspect in particular. Now, the lead detective today called this a highly complex and very sensitive investigation, and the police stress that their work in this case is ongoing. Keep in mind, the woman is accused of killing 8 babies. There are another 9 deaths also under investigation, Rosemary.
Okay, so not saying a whole lot, but how did the police investigation come about?
Well, the management at the hospital, Countess of Chester Hospital, called in police last year because they'd noticed a spike in deaths in the neonatal care unit, specifically between June 2015 and June 2016. They knew something was wrong. Compared to 40 other healthcare networks across the UK, this hospital had the highest rate of deaths of newborns. There had already been an inquiry into that unusually high death rate, and it found no definitive explanation. That's what led the police to be called in. They've since expanded their investigation to focus on 17 babies who died, another 15 who fell ill and needed urgent care, all in 2015 and 2016.
Okay, so how are the families responding to this news?
Well, it's hard to imagine how difficult a day this must have been for them. Lawyers representing the families of 2 of the babies who died released a statement today saying the death of any child is a tragedy, but this is exacerbated in circumstances where questions remain unanswered. What the police have underscored today is that at the heart of this case, there are a number of families in mourning who just want answers about what happened to their newborn babies 2 or 3 years ago, Rosemary.
Okay, lots of answers still to come. Thomas Degla, thank you very much.
Okay.
The accusations are chilling, and perhaps for Toronto residents, they may bring to mind another case from nearly 40 years ago. Nurse Susan Nellis became the focus of attention for a string of unusual newborn deaths at Toronto's Hospital for Sick Children. She was initially charged with 4 murders, but a judge dismissed the case at a preliminary inquiry. In recent years, experts have suggested the deaths may have been caused by a chemical compound used in IV lines and some syringes at the time, but that has not been proven. Those deaths are still being treated as unsolved murders.
Well, we are tracking a number of other developing stories tonight, including a search underway north of Vancouver for 3 people who may have gone over a waterfall. It happened at the popular tourist spot, Shannon Falls. Witnesses saw 3 people slip from a pool near the top of the falls to another pool 30 meters below, and then they disappeared. Officials are searching, but the area is steep and can be dangerous. It rises more than 300 meters up from the highway. Ontario's new Premier, Doug Ford, followed up today on a key campaign promise. He officially announced he's scrapping the province's cap-and-trade program. Ford said in a statement that the move will help lower gas prices, but his new government has not yet said how much it'll cost to pull out of the program. And news from the Prime Minister's office today. Justin Trudeau is planning to visit Canadian troops in Latvia. He's expected to make the stop next week before attending the NATO summit in Brussels. It'll also be the first bilateral visit to Latvia by a Canadian Prime Minister.
Still ahead on The National. How to stop the violence. My conversation with 3 Toronto community leaders working against the rising tide of shooting incidents. That's ahead.
Plus, they call themselves the Abnormal Beauty Company, and true to form, there is a bizarre story behind this incredibly popular Canadian business. Is it real or a ploy?
And if you set your PVR, cover your ears for 1 second. A huge win for England at the World Cup. Just take a look at how it went down at home.
And I think that means England are through.
Yes! Yes!
celebrate. More football fanatics ahead in our moment of the day. National Defense will soon be searching a military base some believe contains a deadly cache of Agent Orange. That's the dangerous chemical defoliant used by the U.S. Army in the Vietnam War and tested in New Brunswick in the 1960s. Cancer, birth defects, and other illnesses are believed to be linked to those tests. And defense officials agreed to visit a spot where one retired soldier insists that barrels of Agent Orange were dumped, buried, and are still underground. Our Murray Brewster went along with them to Canadian Forces Base Gagetown to find out more.
This was not a simple trip down memory lane for Al White. Base Gagetown, where he served in the 1980s. He knows these back roads like the back of his hand, and he led National Defense Environment officials directly to the site where he believes Agent Orange barrels were buried.
So, Mr. Wright, what we were thinking is we'd maybe just walk up and down a little bit.
White kept his silence about what he says he saw 30 years ago until friends started dying of cancer. He feels guilty for not speaking up sooner. It was here in 1985, White says, over 40 barrels of the notorious defoliant were buried under the cover of darkness.
So we are standing, I think, we're
Right
standing
there.
right about there.
That's where it would have been.
Pretty darn precise.
And there was something about the lay of the land that caught the eye of defense officials.
You'll note there's taller trees over there and shorter here, so there was something activity here.
While they now acknowledge something might be buried here, officials doubt it was Agent Orange, saying drums from the 1960s tests went back across the border with the U.S. Army. But they're not 100% certain.
If there is something there that we missed, we want to find it.
There are some who say that regardless of what the D&D investigation finds, Al White's allegations have served to remind people about the legacy of chemical contamination here and in surrounding communities.
Almost everyone died of cancer, and my street was called Cancer Alley.
A 2007 federal government study into Agent Orange use at Gagetown said there was no long-term health risk. Residents argue, though, there has been decades of herbicide spraying, and they want an apology.
You're angry.
Yeah, I am. I'm angry that they did it to us. They knew. They knew what they were doing.
As for Al White, he says his involvement is over and it's now up to National Defense. For him, this has been a journey of atonement and service.
Being a good soldier?
Yeah.
Never goes away. You don't lose it.
Murray Brewster, CBC News, Base Gagetown, New Brunswick.
Still ahead on the National, what is behind Toronto's rash of shootings and what can be done to end it? I sit down with 3 people working to end that violence.
Plus, a Canadian skincare company and what may be its secret weapon in marketing. What's behind these offbeat videos from the company's founder?
Guys, you know I don't smoke. I'm on all kinds of drugs and everybody depends on who you ask, but there's different kind of drug, but a variety of kind. But I don't smoke, okay? Everybody knows I don't smoke.
From Ontario to the Maritimes, millions of Canadians are wilting under the swelter of a heat wave. And for the sick, the very young, and the very old, it can be a real danger.
Our main priority is to ensure the safety of all Montrealers. We now move to the intervention phase of our emergency plan.
Montreal blames the heat for 6 deaths. The number isn't particularly high, but this city has a low threshold for action because the toll did hit alarming levels not so long ago. So 17,000 liters of water have been distributed to groups that help the homeless. City pools now have extended their hours, and first responders are knocking on doors to check on the vulnerable. Jayla Bernstein shows us how Montreal is coping.
Any hope of a reprieve is days away. Temperatures aren't expected to dip in Montreal until Friday. The city is urging people to do what they can to cool off. The stifling heat is a real danger, especially for the elderly and the sick. At this long-term care home, some rooms still don't have air conditioning. Sylvain Bellemare says he's been sleeping in his wheelchair in a common room that's kept cool.
Le monde sont pas mal down, là, tu sais. Ils ont hâte que les chaleurs canicules soient finies, puis qu'on puisse avoir l'air climatisé dans nos chambres.
The days of scorching weather have contributed to at least 6 deaths so far in Montreal. While officials hesitate to minimize that, they say it's not outside the norm. During the 2010 heat wave, 106 people died in the Montreal area.
We're not seeing an excess level of deaths due to heat wave, but of course, and those people that are dying, they have, most of them, other conditions. So they have chronic diseases, they have mental health problems, or problems with drugs.
Special teams are doing door-to-door checks, looking out for people who could be at risk.
It's very hot here, and drink a lot of water during the hot day. Okay? No problem. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a nice day.
They're reminding residents to watch out for symptoms of heat stroke and dehydration.
If they have cramps, stomach cramps, and big headaches, and if they feel they have problem breathing, or if they feel a little bit dizzy and they talk and it doesn't really make sense, those are the signs.
For those making the most of the heat and those workers who have to toil in it, the city says everyone should be cautious of warning signs. Jayla Bernstein, CBC News, Montreal.
Now, summer dangers are about more than the heat. This year, they also seem to be about violence, gun violence. The thing is, if you're looking at the statistics alone, the numbers suggest Toronto, the biggest city in the country, is also one of the safest. That's what happens when you break down crime on a per capita basis. But life doesn't always feel in sync with the stats, especially after Toronto experienced a surge in shootings all throughout this hot Canada Day long weekend.
This isn't the first time I've had to call the cops about a shooting. Yeah. Before, it used to just be people, threatening you, but now it's guns.
And it's not just his downtown neighborhood that is dealing with the violence either. Shootings are up all over, from the downtown core to the suburbs. There have already been over 200 shooting incidents across Toronto, and we are barely into July. So what to do with the problem this complex? We wanted to hear multiple perspectives from people who are deeply invested in making their communities, their city, Toronto, safe. So Walid Kagali is a community organizer and activist in Toronto. You're running for city council in Regent Park, one of the neighborhoods deeply affected by gun violence. Soraya Ibrahim, a longtime resident of Regent Park. You work with at-risk youth. And Anjanette Hutchinson is a counselor and a gun violence survivor. So for that reason, Anjanette, I feel like we should start with you, because I'm wondering what was going through your mind this weekend as you kept hearing story after story of more gun violence here.
I couldn't help but to feel saddened by, the condition of our city and the way that things are spiraling downhill. I feel like, we need to come together as a community. We need to come together to put an end to this.
And you, Soraya, you see this all the time. I mean, unfortunately, you're in the position of having to plan some of the funerals for these young people. What is your instinct? Is it getting worse?
Yes, unfortunately, the young people are getting younger. It's hard to support the moms who lost their kids, and seeing them every day in the community and planning the funeral. The kids are getting younger in elementary schools, grade 7 and 8. It's shocking to see the young people, how the confidence that they have on the song that they produce. It's very sad, and it's scary as well as a mom, and seeing those videos as well.
And when you say the confidence they have with the songs they produce, you're talking about, videos for social media with lots of boasting, lots of guns.
The language they use as well, and it's sad, and the language that they use, the confidence that they had in a way that there is no fear using those language.
With your conversations with the police and the work that you do in 51 Division, I know the topic of guns comes up. What's your sense from the police and the people in the community about where these guns are coming from? Because I think there's no doubt that there are more of them, right?
Yeah, I'm curious, how do they access those guns? And I was talking to one of our community police officer, and he said they are coming from U.S., from Buffalo, and they come with the car and they put it under the car. That's how they use the female to drive in to the city.
Waleed, what do you think when you hear Soraya say this?
I think Soraya is articulating the concerns of many folks in the community, parents included. I think it's important for us to think about mentorship, think about employment opportunities in the community that will help, this young folks, gain access to meaningful employment. And I don't want more guns in our streets. I don't want more guns in Regent Park. I want to work with folks, not just, because the community is ready, but with folks at the city level to make sure that we address the systemic causes as to why we have an increase in gun violence.
Okay, so you're talking systemic causes. The mayor today was talking about something different. Let's have a little listen to how he described what's happening.
We have to redouble our efforts to make sure we get these gangsters, round them up, get them off the street. The police chief himself said this morning 90% of the shootings that are taking place are connected in some way or other to gangsters or their affiliates.
Waleed, what do you think of language like that?
I don't know if that language is, in my opinion, the most constructive. I think, we don't need, there's no room for more fear in this conversation.
Soraya, I saw you shaking your head when you were listening to the mayor. I can see a lot of Canadians saying, sure, anyone who waves a gun around in downtown Toronto is probably a gangster, and yes, I want them off the street. So what are those people not getting, or maybe what is the mayor not getting?
So the language that he used, it's in all social media. It's racist comments that he made. That's unacceptable as a leader of the city. And we are the city of diverse. People are watching us around the world. And as the leader of the city, and this is where we come together and support the laws that we have, unite, and support those moms who lost their child. Yeah. And find solution for those young people who are lost and giving them the hand. And we could do better. Yeah.
People who have been victims of gun violence, I would imagine one of the things you'd want to do would be to run away. But you have stayed, and you're still working with people in the community. Why? Why haven't you just run for your safety?
Because I feel like if I don't do anything, I don't feel like anything's going to be done. Or if I don't use my voice and use my experience to help others, who's going to do it? So
you're trying to work with young men who've just gotten out of jail, right?
Yeah, that's my goal, to start a program, a reintegration program, to reintegrate individuals who are coming out of jail, reintegrate them back into society, to prevent any reoccurring crimes from happening. And I feel like more programs like that should be out there. Instead of increasing the police in the streets, I feel like they should be increasing the programming to prevent, these at-risk youth from committing these crimes.
Okay, Anjanette, Soraya, Waleed, thank you very much. Just the beginning of a conversation. Thank you. We have more from this ongoing story on our Instagram feed, including powerful images from a community in mourning at the vigil for Javante Smart, better known as the rapper Smoke Dogg, gunned down in broad daylight on Saturday. You can find them on our Instagram page at CBC The National.
Tonight on The National, another big step for the Humboldt Broncos. Today, they named Regina-born former NHL defenseman Nathan Oistrakh as their head coach for the next season. He takes over from Darcy Hogan, who was one of 16 people killed in the team's terrible bus crash in April. And a hero's welcome tonight for former Toronto Blue Jays slugger Jose Bautista. He returned to the Rogers Centre for the first time since his 9-season career with Toronto came to an end last season. His new team, the New York Mets, lost tonight's game, 8-6.
It's time to see what performance really looks like.
In the multi-billion-dollar world of skincare, famous beauties push the products.
It's time to get your glow on.
You might call it industry standard, but could this be a different way to drive sales?
TV guide? I'm alone here,
And there's a second bedroom here. Look at the beautiful designs.
An upstart Canadian company got a real boost after its founder posted strange messages online.
I have stuff going on. 56 bathroom.
Were they signs of corporate trouble or just a novel way to generate buzz? The Decium company calls itself abnormal. Aaron Saltzman found out just how true that is.
Twice a day, morning and evening, Liliana Kayev takes time to care for her skin. She uses one product line exclusively. It's called The Ordinary.
It works, it works amazingly. And when I say it works, I mean, I've noticed that if I stop using it, my fine lines kind of pop up a little bit more. So it's a great product.
But there's another key reason why Kayev is so keen on The Ordinary.
$5.80, that's unheard of.
The price. Kayev used to spend about $100 per month on skincare products. With The Ordinary, she spends less than $12.
Who would want to pay, $60 for a serum where you can pay $9 and get the exact same results?
That sentiment has helped a small Canadian startup become one of the fastest growing and most disruptive skincare companies in the world. Decium dubs itself the abnormal beauty company, and in many ways that's exactly what it is. Not least because in the skincare business, quality has always meant expensive. Cheryl Wishover is a senior beauty reporter with Racked, a digital publication based in New York City.
Their products are marked up, 80, 90%, 10 times the amount of what they cost to make because of marketing, because of packaging, because, consumers have the perception that the more expensive something it is, the better it is.
Decium turned that on its head. No fancy packaging, no stylized product names. The Ordinary comes in utilitarian tincture bottles with plain white labels and names that sound like they belong in a lab. Glycolic acid, retinol, niacinamide, and it is so much cheaper.
Products are less than $10, often less than $5, which is completely unheard of in the beauty industry at all, even for drugstore brands.
This is where the magic happens?
This is where the magic happens. So new formulations, and then once they're developed, they go into this incubator.
At Decium's Toronto headquarters, we meet its high-energy, enigmatic founder and CEO, Brandon Truax.
We are becoming a substantial company. I mean, in a year and a half from now, we're going to be the size of Dolce & Gabbana.
Besides the company being abnormal, Truax proudly proclaims that he is screwed up. It's all part of the image of a business and a CEO doing things differently, an image that allows him to say things like the traditional skincare industry is a scam.
Business is so simple if the product has a function. It is so simple. It becomes complicated when you're trying to convince somebody to buy something that they don't need.
So Decium doesn't try to sell people stuff through traditional advertising. It relies on social media, mainly Instagram posts, and word of mouth from loyal customers.
It's just naked, plain, it's cheap, it's very affordable. So yeah, I love it.
I think it feels honest.
Yeah, definitely. It works at a good price.
Started from scratch just 5 years ago, there are now 24 stores in 6 countries, with 18 more under construction. This year, the company will reportedly bring in $300 million in sales, the vast majority of that online. It's been so successful, last year, Estee Lauder became a shareholder, buying a reported 28% stake in Decium. But with the meteoric rise has come signs of strain.
From now on, I'm going to communicate personally with you.
In January, Truax announced on Instagram that he was personally taking over all the company's social media accounts. A month later, he fired his co-CEO and best friend. Then the CFO quit. Then he fired his entire US PR team. And then things started to get weird.
Guys, I don't smoke. I'm on all kinds of drugs and shit. Everybody depends on who you ask, with a different kind of drug, but a variety of kind. But I don't smoke, okay? Everybody knows I don't smoke.
Truax started posting confusing videos on the corporate account.
This pill they gave me, but I don't know. They keep replacing my minibar.
In some, he was nearly incoherent.
And then we deal with the mushrooms that I was doing that this drink.
In others, he's confrontational.
Jonathan, please tell them that I won't sue them. This is going to go on Instagram for Deciem in exactly 1 minute, unless the car arrives very close to me with my luggage. This will go on Instagram.
And even combative.
Hi, everyone. I'm just really enjoying reading all the idiots that write both on Instagram and all the sloppy journalists that can't even afford their phone bills to keep saying that I've got mental health issues.
There was no real context or explanation. Some of the posts were quickly taken down, but not before worried fans started to comment on the videos, and the beauty press was following it all.
A lot of commenters have said, you know, Brandon, you have a mental illness. Brandon, are you on drugs?
I don't have mental health issues. Yesterday and the day before, I was at risk.
He started lashing out and responding to commenters. He would swear at them, he would insult them.
And threaten them.
I'm going to look at a lion and smile at him. If I see a vulture, you're going to get sued.
The apparent social media meltdown hit a boiling point when even people inside Deciem started wondering about drug use or mental illness. So I asked Truax what was really going on.
But we've spoken with a couple of people, and some of them said they were a little bit worried about you because in some of these posts you were saying, they're out to get me, people, I'm in trouble, I need help.
Yeah, but in some of the posts I said I'm CIA, and at the post before that I said we're making a movie. So those people should just basically, if they don't drink alcohol, they should just order a shot of Don Julio and relax. We're a beauty business. If I was unsafe, I wouldn't go on Instagram and say, please come and save me.
He's getting attention and people will remember him, and one of the biggest challenges in marketing is to sort of get noticed.
Professor David Soberman says it could all be a well-planned marketing campaign, and all this weirdness might be a ruse.
You don't really know whether or not it's completely orchestrated or whether it's reality. And I think it's somewhere in between, but I think there's more thought to it than maybe we're giving credit.
If it was orchestrated, it worked on at least one level. Fans started to worry their skincare supply was going to dry up.
Shoppers were really buying, I'm going to buy 5 bottles of my favorite product because what if it goes under?
Adding to worries the company might go under was this Instagram post.
And I found some really bad wrongdoings by some of our shareholders. And some of the posts that you've seen in the past that may have seemed strange relate to that.
But he wouldn't be more specific about just what he meant.
Because if you go down in the basement and you hear rats, the best news that can happen is if somebody comes and checks and there was no rat. The worst news that can happen is maybe you've got rats all over the roof. But I need to get to the bottom of that.
It's a lingering cloud over the company, but Truax turns that to his advantage.
Bad publicity that you explain is actually better than good publicity. Because good publicity, you always question.
Deciem fan Liliana Kayev says she's followed some of the soap opera-like saga, but for her, the bigger question is, when will she be able to get the latest hit product from her favorite skincare company?
They have a matte sunscreen, I think, that I've been dying to try, and I can't get my hands on it.
Seems there's a waiting list. And maybe now we know why. Aaron Saltzman, CBC News, Toronto.
Okay, and switching gears before we head to commercial break, with all the ongoing controversy over U.S. immigration policy, we have a note tonight about a photojournalist who articulated the complexity of the issue almost 2 decades ago. Remember this photo? It shows a 6-year-old Cuban boy, Elian Gonzalez, reacting to an armed U.S. immigration officer. That moment in time struck a chord around the world, and it won American photojournalist Alan Diaz a Pulitzer Prize. Well, Diaz died today at age 71. So here's a look back at the significance of that photo and the Elian Gonzalez saga. Like so many other children, Elian Gonzalez was brought to the U.S. by parents desperate to give him a better life. He was found clinging to an inner tube off the Florida coast. His mother had drowned. Elian was released into the custody of relatives already there, and that sparked a complex and high-profile custody battle involving Elian's father, who wanted him returned to Cuba, his extended family in the U.S., who did not, and the governments of both countries. Enter photojournalist Alan Diaz, who befriended the Gonzalez family in Miami. He started documenting their experience, despite their terror at the possibility of a raid by immigration officers, which of course, happened. Hence this now famous photo. In the end, Elian was returned to his father in Cuba, despite the efforts of then presidential candidate Al Gore to help him stay in the country.
If you follow soccer, you know England is one step closer in its quest for the World Cup. It beat Colombia 4-3 on penalties after the game ended in a 1-1 tie. Well, England last made a tournament quarterfinal at the 2012 Euros, but the last time, actually the only time it's ever won a World Cup, was 1966. So you can imagine today's win sent British fans into a bit of a frenzy, which is why this is our moment of the day.
We are now in a situation where if England score this goal, which I'd love to show you, but we don't have the rights, they are through. And I think that means England are through. OK, so Colombia are out, England are through. General pandemonium, and that's just here in the BBC newsroom.
Only it wasn't just in the newsroom. This rapper stopped mid-show to celebrate with fans. Yeah! Cricket players leapt into each other's arms. And then, of course, there were scenes like these. Yes! Yes! Fans riding buses. Fans mobbing buses. Fans generally losing their minds as they watch their beloved team get one step closer to the title they have coveted for more than 50 years. Okay, so here's what makes this even more special. 6 times, 6 tournaments in 22 years, always lost in a shootout. The curse has been crushed.
Right, and so the next step, I suppose, in this saga, the way it'll unfold is Sweden beat Switzerland earlier, so that means England plays Sweden on Saturday, and so maybe we'll see all of these scenes repeat. Who knows?
I'll see them repeat in my own newsroom because I suddenly understood why everyone was pacing around close to a heart attack towards the end of the day, and then they explained it to me and I got it all. That's The National for Tuesday, July 3rd. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.